Welcome to the Lafaya podcast, the podcast for people who refuse to fold in the face of adversity. Whether you're navigating personal challenges or professional obstacles, this show is a reminder that you have the power to play to win. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Lafaya show. I'm super excited to have my friend here with me, Sasha. Trust and believe she has an interesting story and she's gonna tell us more about it. So, Sasha, right now, I'll just have you go ahead and just introduce yourself so they can get to know you a little better.
Well, thank you so much. And it's such an honor to be on the program. And I'm always just thrilled to be able to tell my story as a woman, as an older woman in poker and life, and how I've managed all that. I moved to Vegas in 20 when I was 63 to pursue a life as a professional live cash player. And that's been an incredible journey. And I'm also a mindset trainer in poker and work with both men and women, but my commitment is really in part to help bring more women into the game. And it's been, as you well know, poker is, it rewards you and messes with your mind every second of every day. So
Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, so you work in mindset coach. So are you a professional poker player? Are you semi-professional? How do you
yes, I am a professional poker player, and
Mhm.
I started playing. I first learned the game when I was 55 in New York City, and it was completely by accident, just completely rando. I was a rando. Go ahead, finger up. Yeah.
You said you first learned the game when you were 55.
Yes.
Okay, so how is that when you're only like 32, like right now?
Yeah.
So what's
No, thank you
happening?
so much.
I'm
Yeah.
confused.
No, I know, me too.
No, did you
Trust
say
me.
you first started when you're 55? What? Okay, when you said 63, I was like, wait a minute.
No, I know, I know. No,
Like these
I'm
numbers aren't like adding up. Like, am I hearing
no,
it?
no, my no, my my female my girlfriends who they're younger than me and they're different from me and they say you should lie about your age and you shouldn't tell people how old you are. I'm like it doesn't matter if I do or I don't or people think I'm whatever I am. I'm like, but I'm 69 now, so I started I drink a lot of water. Um,
I need to
but
drink
the
more water.
no, come on. It's just a little bit of a genetic lottery, but I'm sure, I feel like the picture of Dorian Gray, which is a very famous British novel, and I'm going to wake up one day and all the age will like flood my face. So I'm very nervous about all that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so learning poker, I was first exposed to poker at 55, like completely randomly, and like a networking event. I had a life as a financial writer and marketer, servicing Wall Street for 25 years in New York City. And I'm also a fiction writer. And so my writing life, was always present there. And then I went to a networking event and I learned to play poker, and was just beautiful and bizarre. And then something, I heard a voice and like, you were happy playing poker, do that. And then I took classes, and nobody takes classes to learn how to play poker. You know what I mean? I'm just like, are you kidding me? So I took classes to learn how to play poker. And then I was in these little home games, tournament style. And then, I was playing in a pub league, and then I don't know. And then I met a guy in my writing life because I was teaching creative writing workshops through the New York Writers Coalition. And a guy walked in and I was training him to be a workshop facilitator. Well, he was at that time a two-time bracelet winner. Okay. So, and the weirder part of this, let me just say this really quickly. That day, and I had never done it before, I brought in a poker prompt, not even knowing who he was. Like energetically, it was so bizarre, but I brought in a poker prompt and then I found out who he was and I called him, and I was like a fetus. I'm just learning. And then he became my first coach. And I kind of said to him, like,
Wow.
I'm nobody. Like, can you train a fetus? And he was like, sure. So that started. And then I found cash in New York very, very early. And then I was playing underground for several years. And that was the Raymond Chandler part of my life, like knocking on strange doors and as a single woman just roaming around. It was
Right.
wild. No,
Right.
it was very, very romantic. I love that part of my life. And I was never in any real danger, but I was careful and I was an adult.
That
So yeah, but the question of like, anyway, let me just stop there and give you a chance because I tend to. Yeah, I want to give you a chance to jump in. But that was the beginning. That's my little bit of my origin story. I learned to play poker with 80 women in this beautiful midtown, elegant luncheon conference room kind of thing.
That's so
And
awesome. Okay,
yeah,
and you just fell in love with the game and you just jumped in. You're like, I love you. Something told you I love this game. Learn more, and you went out. You took the classes, so you're just you're a jumper and you're a doer. Clear.
right. Okay. Yes,
Okay,
that's
okay,
fair. No,
right. That's a
I'll
fair assumption,
I'll
right?
I'll take it. Yeah,
Based on
I'll
your story.
take it.
But yeah, so yeah, in the process, right, of transitioning from, man, you said you were on Wall Street, you were successful there, you're a creative fictional writer, you're doing all these things that seem so not poker like, right? And then all of a sudden your life just changes kind of like in a snap. And you're like, you know what, I love this game, I'm gonna do something, but this is what I'm going to do, right? What kind of things did you run into when you made that decision to transition from what you were doing before to becoming that professional poker player?
Well, oh, it's a good question. It's a big question. Let me focus on sort of the kind of emotional and psychological aspect. And it wasn't, my life has never, over the last 10 years or so, 50 to 15 years, let me say it that way, my life has never kind of just been this one thing or that one thing.
Okay.
So I was, when I took on poker and was training, I was like playing, I was writing by day and playing poker at night. And that went on for several years, playing underground in New York. But the psychological, I mean, my cards are all over my family. I come from this big, sprawling family in Los Angeles, and my grandfather died at a poker table, and my dad and mom were great, card players, and but it was never my life. But there was something about, there was something I don't know, but that with poker, you either love it. It either hits your brain like heroin, or there's no reaction. I don't think there's anything in the middle. As a woman in the game, I was immediately facing. I have documented every moment of my poker life in language, every single moment. I've been kept journals. I've published 15 articles for poker platforms. I have a memoir in progress. So every moment of this process is captured in language.
Yes.
And I would say that the challenge was what all the demons for all of us, and we all have different demons, right? As poker
Yes.
players, as women, as poker players, whatever. The demons rose. I'm playing with mostly younger men. I'm feeling bullied. I don't feel competent. I started so late. Like all of the very, very negative, toxic voices that I had to come battle all the time, and my own history, not I have fought all my life for, you know, I'm the black sheep of the family intellectually. I had to fight for agency and to feel entitled to all the things I've done and have. I did my graduate work at 50 at NYU in creative writing. But I've struggled. And so that idea of lemonade to lemons, or sort of allowing myself to have a much bigger life at certain points, and then and what that was in poker was, and writing too, just constantly working on feeling entitled to my excellence and my success as a
Yes.
woman, and as an older woman, and as an older woman is especially important.
So would you say that there was a bit of that people are familiar with this, in that imposter syndrome where you felt like, like almost that, should I be doing this? Do I belong here? All of that self-doubt and all that stuff that kind of comes in when you're trying to do, especially live your dreams. When you're trying to live your dreams. Now, I think for some of these, the younger guys out there, those 20 somethings, I'm not sure if they even go through that. I think that they already had. I think entitlement is kind of a thing for this new generation coming up. Like they feel entitled to everything, right? So from teenager to that young. So, but if you get a chance to live life and you're not like on that road to your dreams and playing things like poker can set you up to be able to have something wonderfully fantastic happen very quickly, right? Like there is no, I don't think there is any other career like, like poker where you could just win one tournament and all of a sudden you're a millionaire, right? That it usually doesn't happen on the job. So these guys tend to feel entitled. But for you, you said there was a struggle with just feeling like you said like like you're entitled, but almost like you belong even. And what did you do to get through that struggle?
I mean, I would say I'm still in it because not in the same intensity, but I've written about exactly what you just said, the question of entitlement for men. And I agree with you about the younger generation that came into poker through the online portal.
Yes.
For some odd reason, I'm very connected to the culture of history of the culture of poker in Vegas. And I talk to older guys all the time who are telling me their stories from the 90s. And I'm like a little kid by the fireplace. You know what I mean? I'm just listening and just sucking it all in because I love their tales. Like I love these guys.
Yes.
But so the question of entitlement and how I wrote about it in an article I wrote was, men get entitlement, get what something from their mother's milk, that sense of entitlement and agency, and women get different milk. Okay, we kind of do. So
Yes.
how I never I mean I often I had pain and I suffered and I worked through my tilt and I worked through everything that we go through. But then it also like unleashed in me a kind of Frankensteinian sort of willfulness that I rose to kind of get a vision of a new intellectual agency and within a poker context and learning things like how to play mum poker and learning how to be silent and learning how not to be smiling and learning how not to take care of men or anyone at the table and feeling entitled to use my eyes differently and feeling entitled to an intellectual and a financial aggression. When I first started playing in like this crappy apartment on like 32nd and Lexington, and you walk up these awful stairs and it's a dark vestibule. It was like, again, very Raymond Chandler. And I'm like, I'm playing against cokeheads and nutcases.
Yes.
Um, and I would drag putts and my hands would be shaking. Okay. My back would spasm. Okay.
Mm.
I'm walking back to the subway with like my pockets filled with money. Okay. It was wild. And yeah, the question of imposter syndrome. I mean, again, I mean, from that moment to this, and I still sort of sometimes deal with it, but I was very graced with three things, four things. One, again, I'm Jewish, so the Jesus question is not really relevant to me, but however, I do feel like Jesus is like a little bit on my side with this. So I've had three world-class coaches. Okay, three of them, not one, not two, but three. And my current coach is a legend in mindset, in the mindset space. Okay. I
Mhm.
also wrote a poker book several years ago, which I'm one of the few women on earth to have done that. And it
Yes.
covers 5 games. It's called the Total Poker Manual. And I felt like I knew a lot. And looking back, I mean, Jesus, I didn't know what I didn't know. But the energy of my commitment to the culture of this game and treating poker as this remarkable social organism and how I enter that, like that, all that energy is in that book. And I had spreads for women, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous text. There's nothing like it visually. So I had a lot of intersections and my coaches I've had, and then working on mindset, I think has allowed me to then come to Vegas and play against much younger people and mostly men because my mindset work is quite advanced already. And it doesn't
Mm.
mean we don't tilt. It doesn't mean, I had a session, I got off a session just now, and I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of breath work, and talking myself through those moments. In cash, it's different than tournaments because, in tournaments, you're playing for stacks, and in cash, you can always reload. The pressure is a little bit different, but there's more real dollars at stake. Um,
Yes.
but and that's why I love to train, and I have clients that have come to me, female clients that, you know, I mean, they have transformed their game and their orientation to the game. And you, you, you have to, it starts with kind of raising awareness and all that. But, I was bullied recently by somebody who was really vicious, and it doesn't happen very often. But those moments, I mean, I talked to my coach about it. Like, what is my response? How am I? Do I want to adrenalize? Do I want to? I'm a New Yorker. Like, if I talk to you, if I open my mouth, someone's going to be crying, and it's not going to be me, right? But do I want to adrenalize in the middle of a poker game? You understand these
Yes.
issues.
Yes. Yes. So, okay. So, I asked, what did you do, right? And as far as your transition initially, right? And then I asked, what did you do what do you do in those, say, like those tough moments, okay? And what I heard you say, okay, when imposter syndrome is just trying to take over, but tough moments, period, right? But what you said was, first and foremost, you got the training that you needed. You went, you sought out learning more about the game, the strategy, the mental game piece. You had world class coaches, right? You kind of were super blessed to have world class coach, and not everybody gets a chance to have one, let alone three, right? World class coaches, and you took everything that it is that you were learning and you brought it to the table, right? You
Mhm.
decided that I'm not going to allow any portions of even my personality, like being that New Yorker, being that person that can like blow up on somebody and they will be the one crying, right? I have that skill too. They will be the one crying, right? I had to learn that. My husband said, stop doing that. And I'm like, why? Look, I didn't start it, but I'm surely gonna finish it though. Like, I don't start anything. I leave everybody alone. You will never find a person that says that I have started something with them, but I will finish it. and he was like, I need you to stop doing that. I was like, oh, okay, fine. Kind of figured it out, slowed it down a little bit because I was being a little, scalpel cut hurtful. It wasn't just a small focus. It was like I'm trying to, right? But yeah, but you reined even, that portion. And just because we can do that, is that the energy that we want to bring to the table, that we want to bring to the game? No, of course not. Right? Because there's no, when we're bringing negative, all that is bringing negative energy. And when you bring negative energy, you are for sure going to lose your chips eventually. And actually, if you don't lose your chips, you lose something else in life. There's always some version of loss, right?
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's a brilliant sentence. So you're going to lose something, and it may be your chips, but you're always losing something, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah,
Whether it be just, think about your integrity, right? Your integrity is more important than your chips. Right. So, your sense of who you are, your class. Like, we don't want to lose out on those things. But anyway, so it sounds like you were able to just kind of battle, and you're still doing it to this day. And me too, where you're just able to kind of battle those things that are challenges for you, by way of making sure that you're keeping yourself hyper aware. You mentioned meditation and breathing, so important. Breathing through things and not get into that place. I don't know if you've ever been there where you're almost hyperventilating, or you're feeling like, okay, no, when can I breathe now? Because I haven't breathed, I haven't taken a breath. Now they're gonna see if I take a breath, right? Those kind of things. But getting through in those ways, what would you say is like your like number one go to when it comes to managing, feelings that can come up, because you're human, that can come up when you're at the poker table?
I mean, my superpower is my awareness.
Mm,
I take it for granted, and I think women have more of this capacity. I
mm-hmm.
just want to say parenthetically, the question of imposter syndrome and all that. I mean, I've studied the game every day for a decade. I've watched over 11,000 hours of high stakes poker. I have a lot of training in my body and my mind, and I sit down now with tremendous confidence. It doesn't mean, but I came to Vegas and I'm playing in the hardest cash rooms here against people who are way ahead of me in terms of years and all that. So I had a learning curve here, but I get a tremendous amount of respect. And because I sit down with a tremendous amount of respect, and I really do love the people that I'm playing with most of the time.
Yes.
But my superpower in terms of mental game work is really um, my awareness, a hyper awareness. And one of my a client that I've been working with for over a year, she came to me and she um, is older and she was playing long sessions, not successful. not aware of the fatigue factor. There's this ego in poker about playing, and on the cash side, how many hours is enough? Is an 8-hour day in poker acceptable? Do you have to boast about your 14-hour session? Or, the human mind is done at about 7 hours, I believe, in terms of a poker contact. So her and another client that I've been working with, that really bad habits, how often, I mean, really easy tactical stuff, right? Taking breaks, right?
Mhm.
Or if I feel like there's something called one hand tilt, and I say to myself, you're tilted now. So what are we doing? Just really simple sort of inner dialogue stuff. Like, and I'll often just leave the table, take a walk. So my superpower is really my awareness, and I don't feel like uh my expectation is not that I will never tilt, or I don't really like the word. I don't feel like it's expressive enough, but it's kind of, yeah. So I'm incredibly aware every minute of how I'm feeling. And
Yeah.
I also love to be able to see now my tremendous progress from when I first got to Vegas, and I was just like, oh my God, just the fear and whatever. And now I'm just like, um, yeah, I mean,
You're
sometimes,
about business like everybody else. I mean, well,
yes,
everybody else has been
exactly.
doing it for some time. I love. Oh my goodness, because there's so much wisdom, and I think you're clearly a wise soul because you just kind of like spit out this wisdom, and I'm like, oh, and I don't want to cut you off though.
No,
But
that's
I
fine.
love what you said about that having, just rewinding back a little bit, having that tremendous respect for other players. There's something to that. There's something to, you don't have to, it doesn't take away from your being confident to have a huge amount of respect for what other people are doing. So for people who have put, a lot more years into this, a lot more time, a lot more, and I mean, they'd be hard pressed to get more training in than you though, because you go hard. And but 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 there's something about having that respect that keeps you from going to that bad place where it's like confidence becomes, I should be able to win all of the time and beat everyone. And if that doesn't happen, then I'm falling apart, right? So important. And then the other thing that you said that I grabbed a hold of, that was that you just hate that word tilt because it just doesn't define well enough what really happens. Like, that is such a tough word, because am I really tilted according to what your perception of tilt is? Probably not. But according to what I deal with, yes. But that tilt, that's why I came up with that acronym, temporary interruption in logical thinking, because it's just that thing, that ping that hits you, that emotional ping. And if you're very aware, then you're very self-aware, which meditation helps with that, of course, right? But if you're very aware, then you won't like bypass it or ignore it or try to push through it. You'll do
Mm.
things, the wise thing, like take the breaks that you need to. I'm actually honestly like a work in progress when it comes to that. Now I'm hyper aware because I'm like tuning in all the time. Just, and I even play little, like I set timers. I play little games with it just to kind of test out, like, okay, so how long is it going to take you? Like, in this next 30 minutes, will anything happen that will cause your heart to do that little twist thing it does, right? And I'll set timers, and then I'll gauge whether or not something happened in between there, right? But I will feel and know and be aware that something hit me the wrong way, and then I will still sit through, well, less and less, but I will sit through and try to get through it, try to figure out, oh no, I should, but when I really need to just get up and take a walk before I lose all of my chips,
Right. And
right?
again, in tournament, your pressures are different in a tournament structure. I just want to
Yes.
say before I forget that what I have learned, as a woman in the game and as an older woman in the game, is how to, I came up in the 60s, right? And I'm a boomer right? And in my family, men just had all the power and women had no agency. So I have to learn not to give men power in poker, and that's just a very, very personal idea. And it doesn't happen every second. But when I look at a player and decide that they're better than me or whatever, and sometimes they are, and who cares? I mean, like that. But that's ongoing work for me as a woman. That's the legacy and the kind of dark shadow of my personal history. And I just want to say that there are guys that I stay out of their way, and my coach got me hip to this. In cash, in tournaments, you can't really always choose kind of who you're in hands with, but there are guys I stay out of their way because I may just have an unreasonable amount of tilt with them, right? So I don't play hands with them. If I open and they raise me, I fold. Or if I just fold my cards knowing, or if they open and I fold, I just fold. Like I do a pain minimization. This is my training.
Yeah.
Every moment of every day is minimizing pain. So there's that. And also, for example, like really simple tactical stuff, like in cash, you can get, you get excited, you win a big pot. I had aces four-way the other day. They held. Like
Hey,
that was
hell.
that they held, right? But like, what am I doing with those chips? Am I going to get splashy? Am I going to feel cocky? Like, what am I doing? I
Yep.
have a thing where like I don't play very many hands for the first 30 minutes of a game. Like pairs and ace king, first 30. That's my first 30 lockdown, right? Or if I'm tilted, I go into 30 lockdown. So I'm just playing pairs and ace king, right? Or if I win a huge amount of money, I often don't play a hand for at least 20 minutes.
Oh my goodness, that's so smart. See, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. You like it took you a total of like 2 minutes or maybe 2 minutes to like spout out so much wisdom that I had to tell everybody and myself to rewind that right here at this part, like rewind it a little bit and listen to what this woman just said again. Okay. Like you said I do pain minimization, and then you just kept going with it. Like you didn't just say some mic drop kind of right? I do pain minimums. And I was like, oh, okay, because I was gonna say to you, and sometimes I get stuck myself. Now, how are you a host? Do you get stuck? But I get stuck myself, and I'm sitting there like, oh, what is she about to say next? Like, because I knew exactly what you meant. Now, the question I would have asked if I wasn't so into it and listening would have been like, okay, so for everybody else out there that kind of maybe they don't even really know what pain minimization means, right? Like describe that, but you kept going, so you kind of really described it. You said if there's somebody that I know that I have some, that there's some negative energy space towards, then I stay out of the way of that. Why? Because you're wise enough by now to know that things don't go well when that feeling comes up for you. So what do? You say, and then also you also value how you feel. Now I know that it's not, some people out there be like, feelings, whatever. No, but we're not all robots. Okay. You value not feeling badly. So it's not feeling bad. So then you create situations where I don't even have to deal with the pain of any of this. Like I don't have to do this right here. There will be other opportunities, right? Other opportunities where my energy is going to be in the right space. And quite honestly, the right space tends to be the winning space, especially long term, right?
I mean,
You have
I have a neighbor who's very rich and he's a losing player and he comes up from Texas and he loves to be a victim and he has bad beat stories like From Here to the Moon.
Yeah.
Like that's his energy, right? So if you stay out of painful spots, you're not going to have any more bad beat stories. That's number one. Number
That's
two,
it.
but the other part of it for me is it took me a long time to silence the voice of, oh, you're a baby. You should be. This is my own personal history of being bullied in the household and dealing with some harsh stuff in my childhood home. Uh, like the voice is like, you're a baby if you get away from that player or you protect your stack or you raise the drawbridge. That voice of you're a baby, that's an old taunting voice from my family. So that
Mm.
is another thing that I have. My coach said to me, he spent years staying out of the way of this one player, and that's what I do now. Because actually, I'm not trying to win money from players who are much better than me. There's plenty of other targets in Vegas, right?
There you
So
go.
lots of whales. So, but yeah,
Right.
the honoring what you're saying about honoring how you feel, and feelings for me are 9/10 of the law in the game. I mean, it's like it's kind of what we deal with, whether we admit it or not,
True.
every second.
Very true. And then it's so this is such a great, just piece of conversation because there will be those out there that are like, oh, they're pure, like, they're pure robots, right? Robots, strategists, all that. This conversation is not for you. If you are like inhuman and you don't feel things, then okay. Then you can skip this and go to some other kind of conversation. But for all the rest of us humans out there that actually feel things, this kind of conversation is very, very important. Not to try to force ourselves, okay, force ourselves to deal with situations that we don't really have to, because there's this idea in the background that we're, a baby or like a punk or I'm not going to allow people to there's pride, the huge amount of the negative kind of pride getting in the way. Whenever that's happening, then just pay attention, like mark it down. You will find yourself more losing more over the long term. If you buy into and you feed into that, then you will, if you learn how to say, no, no, I actually, I like to feel good. I
Well,
really
yeah, but it's
don't
not
like to
it's not so
torture
much.
myself.
No, it's really about, like, for me, it's just, again, it's my training. My training is pain minimization and joy acceleration. And
Yes.
people are now writing about this as real values. But I would also invite folks, I have a friend who presents as this completely calm, perfect. He's played as big as 10-20 on the cash side here in Vegas. His mental game is garbage. Okay,
Yep.
he presents as a completely in control, perfect, strategically beautiful range and analyzing guy. And the stories he's told me about his reaction to I mean, it's really, really, really extreme and negative. And so I see guys all the time. I think, oh, they're great, or they're this or that, and they lose and they're like throwing their cards. And, so a lot of it is just like, I mean, I do play with the robots and, God bless them, but it's sometimes a little bit of a sleight of hand in terms of the perfect strategy guy. And I don't think they really exist. And then what their mental game is like.
Right. Now it's now you're that's true. The outer appearance is not what we're looking for at all, because outer appearance people would think, oh well, especially like with me playing with me, oh, she's stone cold. She's this. Oh no, no, no. I have so much stuff going on inside of my body all the time. And so and I tend, first of all, my and especially at the table, my affect is typically flat. Why? Because I'm so expressive that I don't want to be overly expressive at the table. Like, people would know every hand I had if I was as expressive as I typically am at the table. So then I kind of masked the entire time,
Well, hold
right?
on, hold on, hold on. I'm going to challenge that language
Ooh,
because no, because there's poker for me. If you say to me, what's poker really about? I would say it's information warfare at the very heart of the matter. It's information warfare. Okay,
yes.
so for you to say I'm masking, you're not masking. You're simply, you have a different um, physical strategy when you're a poker player. That's all. Your physical strategy is different. You don't have
Okay.
any obligation to be expressive or whatever, whatever. That's why I love the game for women, because we get to be whatever we want to be. And if I want to be friendly and kibitzy between hands, that's my thing. If I want, I wear a mask. If I want to be silent and mum poker and just limit that information exchange, whatever. That's exactly what you're doing. You're limiting the information exchange, and you don't have to be apologizing for
Oh, see, yeah. Yeah.
it.
Okay. I love you. See, you get to give me wisdom, because in this particular situation, you are my elder.
Okay, so I am. I really am. I'm everybody's elder.
Taught some stuff because I know full dang well I don't know everything. But but no, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I am growing to a place where I become more and more, right, unapologetic for how I am. There's and as especially as women, and I have to talk about this a little bit, especially as women, people are like, smile. There's these weird expectations of how women should be at the table that men don't get that. Like, you never, you rarely see a man telling another man, hey, smile. It's like seriously, like, what am I smiling for right now? I'm focused and I'm playing a game, like that where all the rest of us are playing. And because I'm not friendly enough, then now I'm, this or that name, or or this or that type of person, right? So, and I'm
This
to
is
be
so,
attacked.
this is such old, this is like such old sexist. This is like the patriarchy playbook. Smile, be friendly, take care of me. It's gross. I mean, on
Yes.
the cash side, we don't, it just doesn't happen as much because in tournaments, you guys are winner take all in structure. So yeah, I mean, it just doesn't, it's not, I mean, I hope you feel entitled to have no reaction at all. I
Oh
mean,
no, I do. I do. Now there are. It depends on how I feel. Okay. If on that day, because I'm not the most social person in the world anyway, but if I feel like being social, then I'm social. If I do not have the, if I don't have the bandwidth to try to be social to make you feel comfortable with me, because apparently I'm like intimidating. I don't know. I hear it all the time. Like I'm intimidating. I have big shoulders. I don't know, black
oh
female. I
my
don't know.
God. Oh,
And so, but
seriously.
and
Yeah.
I
Shame
have like
on
this
you.
I have like this deep voice, and I guess I'm intimidating. I've been told this many, many times, right?
You are.
And so,
No,
but, huh?
of
You said
course you
no.
are.
Oh,
Of
or I
course
am.
you are. But no, it's beautiful. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no man is ever having this conversation. No man is apologizing for having a
A
strong, powerful
presence,
presence,
right?
right? Yeah,
And
and
so,
it's their problem. That's you should hold up a little card on a little on a little ice cream stick that says all it says is this is your problem, get a life, okay? That's all you have to say. Oh my God, these people are such losers. Go on.
yeah, no, it's been the story of my. It's okay. It's been the story of my life. Don't let me get on a. See, I can't get on these. I'm not gonna get on any tangents. But anyway, I had to have somebody tell me that they were afraid of me. Like she literally said, "I'm afraid of you." She said, "You never help us. You help everybody else in the world, but you don't help us, right?" And I'm like, family. And I'm like, but I'm like a phone call away. Like you literally have my phone number. Like you could seriously just say, "Hey, Faye, I'm having a hard time," and call me. She said, "No, I can't because I'm afraid of you." And I was like, "Okay, well then I don't know what else to tell you." I used to be scary though, more scary when I was younger. No, seriously, I own that. But they know my past. Like they know I used to be really scary. Now, no, the people who don't know my past, I'm like, what did I do? Like I pretty much I was just here and quiet, and I didn't do anything. I might maybe even smiled a couple of times because I try to smile more often because I was told I need to or whatever, and what did I do? But anyway, sorry. Okay, I'm off that.
No, no,
But
oh God,
it can
just shorthand. None of this is your problem, but go ahead. None of
okay.
it. Like
But
seriously.
it's like, just those some of those things that, sometimes as women we can deal with. Okay. And so, but tell everybody a little bit about like you've already been sharing like what some of your wisdom kind of a person can get a little bit of a feel for what it would be like to have you be their mental game coach, okay? But can you tell them a little bit about like how to reach you for that,
Oh,
like what
thanks.
are their ways to access your services, and also don't forget to mention some of those other projects that I know about, that you told me about, that I
Okay.
know that you have coming up, because this is important. People need to know about this, and those who like maybe need to add some benefit to you, some kind of way, need to reach out because you have like I don't even know if you mentioned that everything, like here on camera anyway, that everything you've been through in your career as a poker player, that you have documented, that you have it in writing in one way or another. Like you just kept track of all of that, and you have this fantastic story from your perspective to share. But anyway, sorry, I'm sharing all your
No, no,
stuff.
no.
But
Thank
yeah,
you. No,
tell
I
them
like
tell them how to
no.
reach them. Tell them about your
Thank you
new
for
projects.
the setups. No, I appreciate it very
Yes,
much. I have a
good.
web I have a website and it's Sutton Stories, SuttonStories.com. And my poker life and my writing life and my coaching life are there. I folks can reach out to me if they have any questions. I love to talk the game. I've worked with absolute beginners as a trainer, and I've also worked with guys who are playing as big as 5, 10, 10, 20. And I've had casual conversations with players who are high stakes rec players in Vegas. So, what I do and how I think about the game and sort of pain reduction is I think folks at any level can tap into that. Um,
That's
so, so folks can reach out to me through my website. Um, I'm working on a memoir about my poker life, which I think my story is extremely unique. We haven't had a story about a woman in poker ever. And I think I'm hoping to get the manuscript represented and my greatest dream come true. And I know there's a number of Hollywood producers who are here in Vegas and play higher stakes regularly, but I just think my story would make an amazing film. So, I mean, I would make the protagonist younger than I am now, but I wrote a treatment for it a few years back. I sent it off to some agencies, and I used to work in the film business in Los Angeles, so I know that world. But and these are just longer term fantasies, but I'm excited about the memoir. I feel like again, I brought all that hyper awareness onto the page, and I think I talk about just my consciousness as a woman and coming into a male world. There was a headline yesterday: a woman in NASCAR who's one of the few female drivers. She gets death threats, and it's still a pretty hard world for women in male dominated cultures, etc. And I think all of us each day rise to meet the challenge and make and for myself help women feel comfortable. Just whatever happens internally for me, whatever fears, whatever insecurity, whatever, I walk into a poker room filled with men with so much confidence and so much swagger. And that I've worked on, and it's really, really authentic.
Yes, that's so awesome. Okay, so you heard that, right? Like she is walking into the poker room, into the poker rooms as a woman, as an older woman, having started, at an older age with great confidence, with great swagger. No matter how many young little millennial males are there, okay? And so if you would like to gain some of that wisdom in order to kind of grow in that skill, then check her out. And definitely check out her. I know I'll be checking out your memoir, so please let me know when you release that. And I know it'll become that next movie out there. I'll be watching it.
Oh, God willing, God willing.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, thank you so much. This was so rich with so much great information. And I know I say this a lot, guys out there, but seriously, if you did not feel like you got something out of this, you did not listen. You lost attention. It's the ADD must have kicked in. Rewind it, listen to it in like segments or something, because the stuff that she gave us today was so very important. I even got schooled a little. She was like, hold on, let me challenge. Right? So I even got corrected a couple of times, which I appreciate and thank you. But anyway, okay, guys, that's it for our show today. And keep in mind that it's not about the hand you're dealt, it's about how you play it. Have a good one. I'll see you next time. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And if you're interested in learning more about playing the hand you're dealt in this mental game of life, you'll love my book, Poker, A Woman's Game. To download your free chapter today, click on the link in our show notes or visit lafayawaypoker.com. See you soon.